Hey guys, just finished watching Arrow, Season 6, Episode 18, Fundamentals. Wow, what an episode. This episode was a really good episode. It is pretty interesting to see where things went in this episode. I mean, it starts off with you get the Hood is back and he's attacking the police station, and it's obviously a flash forward to later on in the episode. And then it's interesting. We go through this episode, and it's really cool playing with this whole idea of bringing everything back to basics stuff and the fundamentals, as they say in this episode. So again, we start off this episode with the Hood is back and he's attacking the police precinct. I thought it was just a flashback or something, but no, it's not. It's now, and we end up seeing it was a flash forward type thing. Oliver later on has a meltdown in front of Felicity and William. And then Felicity wants her space from Oliver, but we find out later on that he's been, he ends up later on turns to Lance. Lance is his only friend he has left, the only one he hasn't pushed away. Oliver starts hearing knocking, and then he sees Adrian Chase is back. It turns out he's just in his head, and Oliver gets poisoned with vertigo. And we go on this wild trip of kind of Oliver. He goes on vertigo. He calls Lance. He ends up, back at the Queen house type thing. And he sees. I thought he was going to see Maura or Robert. That would have been really cool if they could have got Maura, Queen, or Robert there. I think that would have been really cool to seeing that. That would have been quite interesting to see them and have maybe even get. I mean, Willa Holland just left, so it's difficult that she'd want to come back right away. But it would have been cool to see that, just a younger version of Willa Holland before her mother died, before her parents died, before everyone, or at least getting Oliver's father back. I think that would have been interesting to see that, and having him tell him, got to get back to the basics, the book, type thing, and I think the right my wrongs type thing. And he hasn't gotten back the name, but we get a young version of Laurel because, she's right around there. She's already on set, so why not use her, right? So that was really cool seeing all that, see everything playing around. And it's interesting to see with this how they have Adrian Chase was really much the whole vertical part of him when he was around and stuff. But it's interesting to see because because obviously they got Adrian Chase because he was the one who was available. I'm just wondering if the Arrow writers had their choice, they could get Manu Bennett, they could get Ra's al Ghul back. They could get even going back to season 1 and getting Malcolm Merlyn, getting him back. Now, he just left. He wouldn't come back. But if it was, I'd be curious to see, in a comic book version of this, they could choose anyone they want. Doesn't matter if the actor's busy or not. Whereas here, they probably put insert villain from Oliver's past, and they had to choose to see who's available to get to see that, right? So just to see if they kind of chose specifically him and specifically called and waited till this guy was available. I forget the guy's name who plays Adrian Chase, but Josh Segra. So that's quite interesting to see. I'm just curious to see if they would have choose. I could see how they would have wanted maybe someone like Slade Wilson. But it's interesting that they got this guy, and I think he was really the way it worked. It was really well done. The way they had him in the show, and they tailored it towards him. I was really interested to see that. But it was really cool. And then we see later on after the wild trip and stuff, we end up seeing the Hood shows up, telling him that he's failed the city since he's lost sight of his mission. He needs to go at it all alone. And that's a really interesting idea that we're going to go from here on. We're going to go back with Oliver alone. Now, it's interesting to see, is he going to go alone? Is he going to keep the Season 1 costume? Because I think it'd be cool to keep the Season 1 costume and keep that. I think that's really going to be cool to see how that goes. And if he keeps this, since we're already episode 18. I'm not sure. I think we're going to 22 or 23 this season. Let's check it out here on IMDb. We're going to go down to 23. So we still have about 4 or 5 episodes left before the end of the season. So hopefully this whole kind of going back to basics is where we go for season 7, since we got that confirmed already. And that would be cool to see that going into the crossover. And I think that could be quite interesting to see that, have Oliver go into this whole, finish this season alone and start next season alone. Go and do everything alone, and even have the whatever the crossover is for next season, have that start over on Arrow. Remember, was it last season or the invasion season with the aliens and stuff and the monitors? That started over on Flash. He was the first one to discover the aliens in the episode before connecting to the crossover. So I think it would be cool to see. And then this season, obviously, it was during the wedding. Everyone happened to be together type thing already. But I think this season, the next season, to have the crossover, I think it'd be cool to see it appear, whatever the big crossover or whatever brings them all together, have it first start over on Arrow, and having Oliver a few episodes before trying to take it on alone and not being able to. And I think that could be a cool idea of building out the crossover, so that the crossover gets built up maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 episodes before, and then we get him trying and failing and trying and failing and just being so stubborn and not being Oliver Queen and stubborn at it, and then eventually after the third, he's really beat and he can't, and he's trying to, and he calls in, he's like, I need your help type thing, and he just hits a button on his bow or something, and everything rings out and everyone gets called in type thing. I think that could be really cool to see that, like an emergency, or maybe someone like Felicity calls, Flash Team, Legends, and everyone. That's how they all get together. I think it'd be really cool to see that, and seeing him go at it and using, again, like I've been saying about this whole split up of the teams, having the crossover next season being what brings them back together. I can see that being interesting to going into that, or at least to kind of bring them together, just to tease it, and then kind of have it kind of, get, again, I want to see if Felicity's opinion, like the Legends' opinion on this story, on this separation between the teams, and then Oliver going back to basics. What's Barry's opinion on that? What's, all these different stuff. I think that's really going to be cool to see that, and to see how things kind of can getting improved, and how would they all work when they're forced to work together for the season crossover. What is the ultimate bigger threat that's like, this is a threat that no one can easily handle, like, aliens, the Dominators. There was no way Oliver is going to take on that on his own. So I think that's really going to be cool, an idea to have it set up next season over on Arrow. I think it'd be cool with this whole kind of going back to fundamentals. It could be quite fun, and having a full first half of this season, like the rest of this season, which would be about 5 episodes, and then first full half of season of Arrow, of season 7, of him being alone, and then maybe at the end of season 7, after whatever Barry or Sarah or Supergirl or any of those, everyone's opinion on the fight between them, and that could be their consolidation. I think that could be cool. I wouldn't want it to kind of right after the crossover be, everyone, they're all back together, that's it, but I could see, whatever Barry says, or whatever Sarah says, or Ray says, or any one of the people in the crossover, all their opinions could kind of come back to people, and that could be the thing that ultimately helps them get back together by the end of season 7. I think that could be cool, doing that and going into season 7, having a full season of Oliver pretty much alone the whole time type thing, and that could be quite interesting to see that. And also it's going to be cool to see is if does Felicity, now that Oliver says he wants to go alone, and even Oliver in this episode, he goes after Diaz, and then Felicity kind of ends up talking him down because he's still high on vertigo. But at the end of it, he still says he wants to go, Oliver wants to go alone type of thing. So it's going to be cool to see where things go with all that, and how kind of does that go into season 7. Does Felicity start helping, is Felicity allowed to help the other team, help Curtis and his team, and Dinah and Renee? How is that going to work? Obviously Felicity is, going to be help taking care of William, and also working on her project with Curtis, their startup company that they're working on. But so maybe she'll be able to put more time into that. But would she? I feel like she still wants to help and do stuff. I think she's going to still need that. Whether she started that, she got a taste of that life. I don't think she's going to want to stop that. And just like Diggle's, not going to just go and get a job at Walmart type thing. He's not going to go do something like that, or just start going back to Diggle's not going to go back to bodyguarding rich boys type thing, rich kids and celebrities type thing. He's not going to go do that. That would just be, it's not his character type thing. So I think it's going to be cool to see what Felicity does with that. She's just going to go and live the, start up, go work at her job with Curtis and take care of William, just do that? Or is she going to go, work at the job with Curtis and also work at the same time with him, helping them out, as helping that team? And I think that could be quite interesting to see that, and to see how that kind of works out with Oliver working on his own going into season 7, and Diggle working for Argus, and the team doing their own thing. And again, with Diggle, I think him working with Argus is an interesting idea. He could also help out the other team, help out Dinah and all them stuff, and because Dinah and Renee and Curtis are essentially kind of mad at Oliver. I'm not sure if they're really mad at Diggle too much, so I think it could be cool to see that, Diggle helping out every now and then with Argus, and then Felicity helping out every now and then with Curtis type thing, and and seeing, since Diggle's again with Argus, it could be really cool to see him jumping over to different shows. He could go over to Flash and help out a little bit with Argus. He could appear on Legends at one point. They could just pick him up at a time and then say, hey, we need you and Argus type things, come here. And then Diggle and Lila go up and go to a future, like that future that Zari's from, where Argus is ruling over things. That would be cool to bring Diggle and Lila over to that future, as for some reason with Legend of Tomorrow, and having him a part of that. I think that could be an interesting idea to have him bouncing around for a season. So I think that could be quite cool to see that, and he could also get a way to clear his head type thing. And I think that could be a cool way to do that for Diggle, and have him just have a character who's not locked to any show. He's just a bit everywhere type thing, and I think that's really cool to see that. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things go going into season 7, and having this all starting this now definitely shows to me that it's probably going to stay into season 7. I mean, there's only 5 episodes left, so that'll be fun to see that. And I really like this episode on its own. I give this episode, I really give it I'm gonna give it like a almost 9.5 out of 10. It was really good. It was really cool the way things are going and stuff. I just would have been cool to see. I think it would have been. The only thing would have made it a 10 is, instead of just having Adrian Chase, is you had all the villains he's ever had. You have, Ra's al Ghul, Malcolm Merlyn, you have Slade Wilson, Deathstroke Slade Wilson, all these different people. I think it'd be really cool to see these antagonists, and also, maybe having Oliver Queen's mother, Maura Queen, Robert Queen, Thea, but a young early season 1 version of Thea type thing. That would be really cool. And I feel like if this story had been done for the comics, you would have had all those people. You would have had every single villain from every season. You would have had all those different people like that, and that would have been really cool to seeing that. Maybe even a version of Playboy Oliver type thing. It's just something that you can't do in live action, because you have to pay all these actors. So I think that's one way that would have been a 10 for me, and that's why I'm going to put it at a 9.5 for this season, for this episode. But otherwise, it was a great episode, and I really liked it, and I can't wait to see how this goes into season 7. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Season 6, episode 18, Fundamentals, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.